part of having the free version.
Over. Did I just not notice it before?
You've just not noticed. It's always been there. That's the caveat.
Well, probably because I have a black background. Usually I have something else going on, which makes it unnoticeable.
Yeah.
I'm a cheap bastard.
But that's that's the downside of the free version is you have that watermark you can't get rid of.
To be honest, I don't really give a shit.
Yeah, it's
if
same.
They want a watermark, StreamYard wants a watermark.
Same here. I've had the same attitude myself. But anyways, we have made it.
I like your green couch.
Yes. I decided to just go green, just start the new year plain and simple. And also the green screen effect was making holes in my shirt. So
which is okay.
We have safely made it out of 2020 alive.
Yeah.
Not all of us have made it, but many of us here have, into 2021, the year that no one will get wrong on their checks for the first month, because
that's right. They're going to be remembering. Oh yes, at last
we are out of that. We're gone. At OX64 ready to get happy 2021. Thank you, happy 2021 to you too. So yeah, we have not been live since before the holidays. Now, I went live a few times without microphone, which is unusual. But
without microphone,
yeah. Well, I got a hankering.
Tinkering.
I had a hankering for some crime sprees. And I figured we needed evidence to use against me in a court of law. No,
right. So you didn't want your voice to be part of that evidence,
right?
But was your face in there?
No. I was playing some Grand Theft Auto, which I hadn't played Grand Theft Auto in probably a few years at this point.
So you didn't have yourself inserted in a corner or something?
No, well, here's the thing. I really didn't care all that much about streaming Grand Theft Auto. I wanted to play Grand Theft Auto, and I thought, if I'm going to play Grand Theft Auto, maybe I'll stream it and see how it goes. And so I have a laptop that sits on the table. I have a capture device that's in the drawer. So I plug them in and hit go just to see if anyone would tune in. And speaking of people tuning in, we've got Swamp Ass Budflap Crust joining in.
Say what?
Hello, Gothard.
Just wanted to hear you say it.
Yeah, I love that name.
We have made it to 2021.
Flap crust.
How is 2021 doing there in Maine? There,
we've got snow.
You've got snow.
Yay!
And I have to say it's thanks to Gothard's dad that I have lights in the room. So,
how's that?
How's that? That is good. I now let's talk about walls. Houses.
Gotta love walls.
Yes.
Houses would be great to work on if it weren't for the damn walls. I think I've.
So you're like ultimate open concept.
Well, I've made it perfectly clear for 4 years that I am against the walls, and working on rewiring my house has not changed my position on that. I am still very much against the walls. It's just that my anti-wall has spread from border walls to house walls.
You're talking about just interior walls you don't like, right?
Well,
because it is a little cold outside now, right?
It is a little cold outside, but I, on the one hand, walls do keep the elements out and tend to bring the whole house together. But on the other hand, they make it really hard to run wires. Of course, then again, if I had no walls, I wouldn't have anything to run wires into. So I guess I.
So what you do is you remove all of the plaster, right? So
right.
You still have the beams.
Oh, plaster.
Then you've got the beams to you use those big staples to staple the wires into.
Have you ever worked on plaster walls?
I wouldn't buy a house with it. And I haven't.
Yeah, me neither, because I made that mistake already.
Right.
I'm sitting in it. I got plaster
I
walls.
bet you our friend Neil would
Neil.
say, "No, I disagree. I like that better." Really?
Yeah, well, that's because Neil hires someone to do the work, and then complains.
Exactly.
And then he complains about all the money he has to spend.
Right.
No, but
You see, and I would not suggest any of that, because anytime I suggest him spending money, he blames me for making him spend money.
yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
But I gotta say, the biggest laugh I got out of Gothard's dad when going on the phone about him is when I mentioned needing to cut holes in the ceiling for the light fixtures, and mentioning that I bought a reciprocating saw, and he said no, and laughed quite a. I'm like, oh yeah, that thing shook every last bit of plaster off the ceiling.
What would he have used? What would he have used?
A hole saw, which is what I ended up buying and what I should have bought in the first place. You know, one of those hole saw attachments you put in the drill. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, actually, this wasn't that much. Well, it's cheaper in the sense of I don't have to fix a ceiling anymore, but it burned out the Ryobi drill, so may it rest in pieces.
Well, you worked it too hard.
Yeah.
You have to work slowly. Let the drill make the work rather than your elbow grease.
Well, I don't think the cheap ass Ryobi drill was designed for hole saws, and so
I've used mine on it.
Well,
multiple times.
My Ryobi drill no longer spins. It pulses every now and then, but the slightest bit of pressure.
Is it a battery issue?
Oh no, it's a brand new battery. So I now have a Craftsman drill.
Upgrade.
Yes, I upgraded.
So your Ryobi batteries are worthless now.
Well, I have one good battery and one bad battery.
But you don't have a tool to use it in, right?
Well, I think I have a radio somewhere, but if you want the battery...
You have a radio that uses a Ryobi battery?
It came with the drill.
Oh.
I've never used it. It was one of the most useless things. The drill and radio combo pack. They both use the same battery. That was the one I bought with you. Yeah.
I don't recall that the radio with it.
Yeah, it came with the radio.
And wait a minute, isn't that the thing where you can also plug in like a phone or something else so it acts as a powered speaker?
No, it's just an FM tuner radio. No input ports.
Okay, so Oxy64 says
Edith Bunker moment.
Edith Bunker moment.
Oh.
Was asking why is plaster so bad?
Yeah, well, I mean, plaster. The problem with plaster is, well, for one thing, my first clue that I didn't like plaster was when I put up shelves that I wanted to anchor to the wall, and I drilled and in the past, when I was dealing with drywall, you get a drill, you drill a nice neat hole into the drywall, you put a anchor in there, like one of those plastic anchors, and then you put the screw right in there, and it holds right in place. And then I rented a place with...
Seth looked better when he was sideways. Just a suggestion. Hey, man boobs.
Brian likes the chest, is I think what.
No. When he was sideways in the image.
Oh, before it updated the.
Right.
Okay. There we go. He's lying down.
So I've been watching this video where the guy starts off. What I'm doing is very relaxing, and on the relaxation score, 10 is horizontal.
Yeah.
Death. And so what this guy was doing was a 9. So it's not quite horizontal.
Anyways, so to answer OX64, plaster, when you drill into the wall, it crumbles and breaks away and is awful. So, I tried to put a towel rack up in the bathroom.
So he's mixed up with the drywall.
Right, drywall, nice and easy, clean drill hole. Plaster,
and the drywall
crumble.
is easy to patch.
Yeah. Well, you could patch plaster wall with drywall.
If it's a technique that you've mastered.
You could patch. Well, you could patch it with those patch kits. I think it come with like a little sheet of like aluminum with the mesh on it.
I use those with drywall.
Yeah, well, I think you could use it with plaster.
I don't know.
But plaster is a bit of a
I don't
nightmare.
have plaster, and I've never tried it.
Yeah. But, well, here's the real problem. So the three-way switch in the stairwell needed to get installed. And that meant that there's, a light switch at the base of the stairs and a wall that goes up and a ceiling that goes across the stairwell and a floor that goes across
the whole saw
the
doesn't
hallway.
work with that very good because it wants a rectangular hole, and the hole saw tends to like to do...
Well, I already have holes for the light switches. I just need to get a wire in the wall.
yeah, that's true.
So what both Dune and Gothard's dad suggested to me is, well, if you can get a wire from that light switch downstairs into the basement and then run that up the chase through the chimney, and then from the attic come down into the upstairs light switch, that'll get you wired in. And so I thought, well, that's great. That's perfect. So I ran a three-way wire up the chimney chase. I was able to get that down to the light switch from the attic, along with another wire that I moved over to the light fixture, which I sawed in a new hole and put in a fixture box and all that. I get that all wired in upstairs, and I come in downstairs, and I go into the basement, and I find that right underneath the wall in the stairwell is a big-ass joist, right where the wall is.
Damn it.
So I have no easy way to drill into the wall from the basement. I guess, the professionals would use those like flexible drill bits and go into the side of the joist and angle it up. If I tried to do that, I would probably drill holes into the stairs and into the kitchen floor.
So this is where you want to hire a guy.
No, this is where I want to, come up with another plan. So Gothard's dad said, well, what's on the other side of the wall? And I said, cabinets. And he said, is there a gap between the back of the cabinet and the wall? And I said, yes. And he said, drill a hole there, bring the wire up behind the cabinet, and then drill a hole into the wall behind the cabinet, and then you get it in over there. And who cares? It's behind the cabinet. And so that was perfect. So I empty out my cabinet. I take my...
Is this a cabinet in the kitchen or?
Yeah.
Yeah, so some guy in the future will do a total gut job on the kitchen and go, fuck!
Yeah, that's his problem. Not my problem. I'm not moving the cabinets off of there.
Have you done this yet?
Yes.
Oh, I say if you haven't done it yet, before you finish, you put a sticker in there with the big F-U-C-K.
Well, Gothard's
or the longer version. Who the fuck?
well, Gothard's dad has great stories about finding little notes left behind from former owners, along with the little strings that are left behind. I think he had to crawl through this awful place to get to this really hard to access place, and he found a note left there saying, well, I bet you had as horrible a time as I did getting here.
There was an episode of Chip and Joanne show, Fixer Uppers, where they found a message in a bottle buried in a wall.
We lost Gothard.
Dang. He wants to reset his device, I think. I'm guessing. Oh, well, maybe you'll be back.
Oh, let's hope so. So anyways, to continue, so what I end up doing, I get the hole behind the cabinets, and I pull my wires up there, and I cut a hole in the back of the cabinet so I can get to behind the cabinet where the wall is, and I drill a hole into the wall, and I can't get my fish tape to go from the hole in the bottom of the wall behind the cabinet up to the switch plate. It's just not getting there. And returning to the stream is Swamp Ass Bud Flap.
Can we just call you Mud Flap?
Swamp Ass Bud Flap Crust.
Can we just call him Mud Flap? That's easier.
Bud Flap.
There he is, horizontal again.
And Gothard will be happy
Perfect.
to hear that everything I am touching, I am leaving a neutral in the switch boxes. And that's very important to people like Gothard, because he then goes around and puts smart switches on all these boxes.
Right.
And I think you're finding in the house you're in now, a lot of your switch boxes don't have neutrals.
Don't have neutrals.
And then
No.
you got to go run a new wire.
It's not worth it.
It's not that bad, actually. Well, the thing is, you already have a...
stuff, though. Yeah.
Well, no, it's real easy because the wire is already laid. All you got to do is get, a 3-strand wire, tape it to the 2-strand wire that's there, and pull it through to the light fixture and wire it in with that. And there you go. You
Except
got a
they-
neutral.
Except it's been stapled in the wall.
Oh. Well, there's where they should have left the fuck notice.
Well, you're supposed to staple it in the wall, but
Well, when it's a new build, but when you're pulling wire through an already closed-in wall, you can...
yes. Well, the house you have is old enough that if you pulled it in, it would just be pulling it in.
Right.
Whereas the house I'm in is
It was
newer
stapled in.
enough that it was they actually had standards. This house was built like the year my dad started doing electrical work.
Yeah. Well, anyways, I found. I found. I got to tell you, see if you appreciate this, Gothard, because this was where I fucked up. And my fuck up only involved a few breakers that would just turn off as soon as I turned them on. So I'm working in the attic. Oh.
Gone again. Dang it.
OX64 ready again. Here lies a wire for your cabinet renovation.
Exactly. You're just not planning to be that guy, right?
So I couldn't get the fish tape to pull through up. And so then I drilled a hole higher
Your fish
up.
tape threw up?
I couldn't pull it
Just-
through the hole.
sorry.
I couldn't pull it through the wall.
I get
So I drilled a higher hole behind the cabinet to try to get above like some obstructions or whatever. And I still couldn't get the fish tape to go through. So I thought, well, and I thought maybe I didn't drill the hole through all the way because there's all this rubble in the bottom of the wall from all the plaster that had fallen in there over the years. So I drilled a little further. And then I'm like, okay, I definitely am in the wall now. And then I walked around the other side of the stairwell, and there was the hole on the other side of the wall. I had drilled straight through the whole wall.
Dingity dang.
Wrong button.
Hey, it's the mud flap again.
It's the mud flap. I have I have a button for that. I have to find it now.
Dang.
Oh, we're
This
I have
is a
big
comedy,
boobs, and I like to touch myself.
there. It is.
and this is a comedy show,
This is a comedy show.
not a bunch of weirdos. Well, we could be weirdos. You'll have to
So-
decide that.
So in the attic was two wires that ran around the entire perimeter of the attic in a U, going up one side with a hot wire attached to knobs to one joist and a neutral wire on attached to knobs on the other joist. And then when they came to the other side of the attic, they moved across the attic through porcelain tubes that were drilled through holes in the joists and then up the other side. And so I started working from one end. At any time they put in a light fixture or an outlet, they stripped the wire and soldered on another piece of wire to extend out from there and either put down the wall to where an outlet was or pull through a hole in the ceiling to where a light fixture was. Perfectly normal standard way to wire a house circa 1930s. So, and then at some point, someone decided, let's throw a bunch of insulation on top of all that. Perfectly
That'll make it
reasonable.
Nice and convenient.
Nice and convenient when the house burns down.
Nice
Then
and
he-
nice
then
and
he-
cozy.
nice and cozy when the house burns down and you collect the insurance money. So
like this house has that same idea. They would pull a wire to the light fixture and then run a 2-wire from it to the light switch. So there's no neutral. It's just,
and use the neutral as a
you know,
traveler.
and that's what they would do.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
that's where I'm running into problems with smart switches, and everyone's like, why don't you replace the smart switch? I'm like, because I have to run a whole new wire from the box to make it work now.
Oh, cry me a river. Sorry. I'm just like, replacing every wire in my house, and I'm like, yeah, that's no big deal. What I'd give for that problem. But at least I don't have pull string. I don't have plaster, so you don't have plaster,
right?
So anyways, the weekend after Christmas, I decided I don't want to work too hard, so I'll do a nice, easy job. And I figure, easy job? Well, I just pulled the wires through the chimney for the 3-way switch and for the circuit that will power Kristen's room. And I figure I don't want to deal with the 3-way switch yet, so let's replace the plug outlet in Kristen's room, and then we can get rid of one of the extension cords running down the hallway. I figured that would be easy peasy. I was expecting another branch of old wire that was, spliced off of the knob and tube run that just ran to the wall. So all I had to do is, open up the wall plate in Kristen's room, disconnect the clamps, tape a new piece of wire there, pull it up, tie it into the new junction box I put up there, and Bob's your uncle. So I take off the wall plate, and I find 2 strands of Romex.
In the U.S., I think it's Bubba.
Bubba? Bubba's your uncle?
Yeah.
Well, Bob's my grandpa. Anyways, so I take
he's not your uncle.
I take the faceplate off, and there's 2 pieces of Romex wire connected to the outlet, which is not what I was expecting to see, because that was way newer wire than I was expecting to see, and that was that meant that something was piggybacking off of something.
It goes right to knob and tube, right?
Well, I'm getting there. I mean, up to this point, the other 2 outlets I replaced on the second floor all had old-ass fabric wire splicing off of the knob and tube. So to see a Romex and to see it piggybacking off of something else was not what I saw and not what I was expecting. So I'm like, well, the other side of this wall is where the outlet is in my room. So clearly, one outlet's piggybacking off of the other. So I go over to my room. I take the faceplate off. 2 pieces of Romex wire. So it's not just the 2 outlets are connected and it's. So I take all the boxes out, and there's a piece of Romex wire coming from the downstairs connecting to my outlet. Short piece of wire going from my outlet to Kristen's outlet. Other piece of wire going from Kristen's outlet up to the attic. And that is what was connecting the attic. Now, I don't know where the downstairs wire goes. So I disconnect everything. I cap everything off. I turn the circuit back on to see what disconnecting that does. And basically, none of the lights upstairs worked anymore, but all the lights downstairs still worked. So I figured, this is the run that powers the knob and tube that's in the attic. Simple, straightforward. Well, it wasn't that simple. So I called.
Bypass some of it.
So I called Gothard's dad and asked him what he thought, and he's like, "Well, if the knob and tube's been working for you up to this point, you could just tie it back in temporarily, and just use that fine." So I should have gone over with some more details with him and run some specifics by him, because what I decided to do was, so I wired our outlets up to the new circuit, and then I had the Romex wire that I pulled up that was connecting to the knob and tube. And I'm like, well, I could throw this in the junction box and connect that to the new circuit too. And then, the upstairs is all on the new circuit. It's just that the new circuit's also powering the knob and tube. So I wired that all up and closed up the junction box. And I went into the basement and I turn on the, knob and tube circuit. Well, the old circuit switch to get the downstairs lights back on, and it immediately flipped off. And I'm like, well, that's not good. Let's try turning on the new circuit. I turned on the new circuit switch, and it buzzed at me. So I immediately turned it off. And Kristen goes, Yeah, the downstairs light came on when that buzzing sound happened. I'm like, the downstairs lights aren't supposed to be tied into that. It turns out that Romex run was not the only hot wire that was feeding the attic, but it was the only neutral that was feeding the attic. So I had another old ass wire that was so all my light fixtures upstairs that weren't turning on, they were still hot.
So when are you going to
Good
put this
times.
house up for sale?
No. I cleaned this all up. I took, and that's why I took the Tuesday after Christmas off and spent that day rewiring the light fixtures on the second floor. Because at that point, I'm like, okay, well, I cut every wire I could find in the attic that was coming out of the ceiling because I did not want an open neutral in my attic. But I loved your little laugh there as soon as I said that was the only neutral, but that wasn't the only hot. Yeah,
Oh,
it's like
that's just not good.
no. Dude, Five Dude say it with me, Johnny. Open neutral. Well, no, you taught me that, and so at first I couldn't figure out what was going on, and then I thought about it, and I'm like, let me try something. And I took my little tester and I pushed the button and held it up to my light fixture that wouldn't turn on, and it went beep 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 beep, and I'm like, oh shit. I'm like, Kristen, I know you weren't planning on it, but don't touch any of the light fixtures. Whatever you do, don't touch any of the light fixtures. Get off those chairs.
Yeah, just use the wall switch.
Yeah.
But by the way, Touch Me Babe, what is that orange thing above your head?
Gothard's head.
Well,
Something
yeah.
on the wall. The
It's a
lamp?
light. Yes, it is.
Looks
I
like
turned
a
it on.
bullhorn, but it's right above your head. Oh,
Yes,
okay. It's just a matter of placement.
Alexis, you've already again. I don't know what open neutral means. Sounds bad, though. This is why I won't touch anything regarding wiring in the house. Oh, it's simple. It's basically, if you cut the neutral wire, there's no way for the current to return, so nothing will turn on. But the current is still there looking to return. So if you...
Yeah.
So
I had a neutral
like-
that was cut at the beach house,
Mhm.
and everything was going just weird. I couldn't figure out what was going on. It was like a
Oh.
ghost was in the house. You flip a switch on, the light would go on like halfway.
Oh,
and then
that's...
suddenly go full way, and then nothing. What it was doing, it was finding its way through the ground on the cable.
Right.
On the
Right. That current wants to find a way back, and as soon as it finds a way
Exactly.
back, it'll take it. And that might be right
and
through your hand, across your chest, down.
right. Well, I wasn't touching everything, but it did take out our gas stove has electric components that without that it doesn't work.
Right.
So it took out the stove.
Exactly.
So
Well,
yeah,
I
that's
had the
We
new-
didn't lose the refrigerator and everything else.
See, I
we-
had a
we
neutral
lost
go
a
to that
number of-
house.
what's
Yeah.
that?
We also lost
I
a
had-
number of light bulbs.
I lost the neutral once during a windstorm where it took out the neutral coming from the pole.
Well, and that's what
Ooh.
happened to me. It was in the wire from the pole.
That's
And
bad.
even though that line is quote unquote my responsibility, the electric company did take care of it. I suppose they didn't want to pay for another burning house.
Hmm.
Well, it happened to me, and I immediately shut off the entire power because everything looked weird. And
Yeah.
then from that moment
Oh,
on,
yeah.
the electric stove still worked, but the timer and clock on it never came back on again. I lost
Yeah.
about 3 or 4 amplifiers in my house. A
Ooh.
lot
Yeah.
of electronics got cooked because of it, and I was so mad.
Oh, which amplifier?
I was fortunate. I did have some surge protectors.
Oh, it burnt up
Those
a couple
things
of
are
those.
totally worth it.
Yeah. Well,
Oh,
they're worth
I
it if
had-
they save it. Go ahead.
Yeah, I
Right.
had a few that it, even though with a surge protector, it didn't help.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
cooked some of the transformer stages. And
you get a big
everything.
enough surge, it'll take other things out
Sure,
while it
sure.
takes out the surge protector. That's why there are really expensive surge protectors that exist,
Yeah.
because there are surges that will just take that dinky little piece of shit right out. OX64 rating in, I'm kind of visualizing it's something that would happen if I tried to put in an extra ground rod on this other end of my house for my radio gear and ground to that. And if the regular house ground has more resistance or suddenly gets chopped, that everything starts coming through that one circuit and catches on fire. I don't know if that's how it works, but that sounds bad.
It's worth a try.
Yeah, let us know how that goes. But I'm happy to say that I did get my 3-way wire in, and I only had to add one. I had to add an extra hole into the stairwell wall, which was really convenient because I was able to add an extra hole and unleash some aggression all at the same time, kill 2 birds with 1 stone. I reached a point where I'm like, I need
Or
another hole.
2 birds with 1 wire.
Yeah, I need another hole. I need it right here, and I'm going to reach right past the oscillating tool and grab the hammer and put the hole in. And then I got the oscillating tool to neaten up the edges. And there you go. And you know what? I have to say something. I thought I was going to regret it afterwards. I didn't. There's something really, really, really satisfying about putting a hole in the wall, putting down the hammer, looking at it, and thinking to yourself, that's okay. I own that wall, and there's no consequences for that.
That's right.
I don't have to worry about a landlord. I don't answer to anyone.
That's right. And you can stick a note in the wall that says, "Oh, fuck."
I mean, I wasn't expecting that, but there was this like calming, like, that was great. I own that. It's okay. I did that. That I can't really fully describe.
It'll buff out. It'll buff out.
Oh, I'll patch it. It'll be fine.
Right.
So
That is the nice thing about plaster, is it is relatively easy to patch because it's never
Well, you gotta
perfect
pick
anyway.
up the technique. Yeah.
yeah. Well, I'm probably
it's easier than drywall because drywall is so flat and precise that you really have to sand it flat. Whereas plaster, you can get it good enough and no one will care.
well. I'll probably put in a piece of drywall to patch it, but then I'll put some, what's that stuff?
Going
paint.
compound.
Joint compound and stuff over it to kind of blend it in with the rest.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and the magic is, how do you match that texture that the rest of the wall is?
Yeah, close enough. You know what?
Feather it in.
Let me tell you.
See,
the
the
more.
thing is with
Go ahead.
I was just saying with plaster, it's just one of those that it's never precise anyway, so you don't have to be as precise. Like it's like close enough and it looks right. Whereas drywall,
Well, that's
have to
the
get
goal.
it precise or it looks wrong.
My walls. I've only recently started looking at these walls with more scrutiny, and they're not that great. There's seams in places. There's changes and patterns in places. You can see that at some point at time, people have patched things with different materials, or have patched up cracks half-assed. And it's the type of thing that I don't care. So I didn't go over these walls with a fine-tooth comb when I bought the place. I'm just like, duly painted, good enough. So my patches will blend right in with the rest of the half-assed job that's been done in this house.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
It will look like part of the house. The thing I've always been, when I would have to do things like put it in I'd put in TV jacks or put in a wall plate somewhere or put in a volume control switch. And if you did it in an old house and the house was crooked, if you put a level on it, you would make the plate crooked to the house. Like,
Right.
you would look at it and it would look crooked, and you put the level on because it would be like near a door trim, and then you put the level on the door trim and realize it's out of level. So then you figure out what out of level it is and put that on the wall switch again, and then put it out of level to match, and then it looks right. So it's all relative.
That gets a little awkward when you're putting in a shelf in, because do you want a shelf that looks right and the stuff all rolls off of it, or do you want a shelf that everything stays stationary and looks a little off? That's the
You go with
tricky
level.
part. Yeah, that's where you go level. Well, that's when you start like working illusions. Like you put the shelf a little level, you put the TV a little crooked in the opposite direction, and it all cancels out, right?
Right.
Well, speaking of ridiculous, I figured out how we're going to celebrate 2021. Once we all get vaccinated, you got to come down here and you got to bring a friend, and we're going to do this.
Oh, 4 turntables.
Close up so we can see it. What is it?
It is a 4 LP box set of the Flaming Lips album Zerika.
Cool.
And I know what you're thinking. Well, you get the changer out and you stack up the 4 LPs and you listen to them one after the other. No, that's not how this box set works. These 4 LPs are meant to be played at the same time.
Hey, you got quad.
I got octophonic is what I have 4 turntables.
Well, I'll bring my CD version, and then we can put them all together, and it will get real messed up.
Oh, I've got that.
At what point is it actually messed up? Right?
From the beginning.
I mean, that's the point of it, is that it's supposed to be a little bit off and a little bit different each time. Of course, us being a bunch of rec tech majors, we all took the CDs into the DAW lab and made our own fixed versions of it.
Because you guys can do it better, right?
Well,
we just wanted a version that we could listen to when we're not
Right.
having to put together 27,
we
pieces
never
of equipment.
I know I remember Jason bought it. I don't know if you ever bought your own copy of it, but I know Jason was the one that bought it first. But we never actually had a Zerika party to play it properly, unless you all had one without me, which
Nope,
That's
we never
not
did.
you just did the rip it in the Pro Tools and make a cassette tape.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, when I saw, well, I mean, this came out a while ago now, but for some reason I started thinking about the album, and when I was looking at it, I saw, oh my God, that's right, they put out a 4 LP box set. That's ridiculous. And then I started thinking about, well, let's see, I got the Luxman turntable there, I got the Newmark turntable there, and I got that BSR table downstairs, and I got that ELAC turntable, and 3 out of 4 of those have speed adjustments on them, so I can, sync them all to the cheapest one, and there you go. And then 4 of us can try to drop needles at the same time. So, it's going to be great.
Okay.
We'll get baked, and then we'll have a Zerika party. Does that sound like a plan or what?
It'll be interesting.
Yeah. Well, I figure I'll hook up the turntables to the input, the analog inputs of the receiver, and set up I think that receiver does 7.1. And I think maybe the 0.1 will work with a normal speaker. I got to play around with that. I think, but my plan is to set up 8 speakers around the living room and get all the turntables hooked in somehow.
Oh boy, it'll be fun.
It'll be fun, yeah, and we'll all get baked. OX64 rating about the shelf. Compromise the shelf with half-ass crooked, but level enough so stuff doesn't slide.
Well, the trick is you don't want it to slide out,
Right.
right? So have it automatically slide to the back of the shelf, right? Convenient. It finds its own room.
Now I had to hang my speakers on the wall because I have these ones that are. I bought my dad years ago when I bought a turntable, bought a Harman Kardon tube amp that I really do need to have it sent off to somebody to replace some of the caps on it, unless I just want to go crazy and do it myself because it has a buzz on it. But it is a nice. It in a certain position it has a buzz, which is weird, and I'm sure that there's a reason for that with the potentiometers and blah 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 blah. But anyway, it's only a 15 watt per channel output. So most speakers don't really run that well at 15 watts.
Right.
So I bought some speakers that were from the era of tube amplifiers, which are these Jensen speakers that hang on the wall, which are kind of cool because they're only about 5 inches thick and they have like a 10-inch driver in them and a ported system, and they're 4-way and kind of really like deluxe for 1963 technology. So they sound decent.
That's good.
And then and so I have those just in my bedroom is kind of set up like a big set of headphones, which I thought was great with, like a little tube amplifier
And
and a
now,
little turntable.
now I was just thinking, you said that it doesn't buzz if it's in the right position. So is that where the crooked shelf comes in?
So anyway, I was hanging them on the wall and I realized the seam that is on, because this room has a knee wall, but they chopped off some of, because it's the upper half of the house where the, like your place does, but it's the knee wall is a little bit higher where the roof line comes down.
Ah, yeah.
But it cuts in, and where they made the seam where it transitions from like the roof line to the vertical wall, that kind of goes up and down and is not really level all the way across to the floor. So I kind of had to, when I was putting the speakers on, kind of like make up kind of where they would look right when I had to hang them on the wall.
Right.
Otherwise they would look, because they're big squares, they would just be like this crooked square on the wall.
Can't have that.
Can't have that. So anyway, I've decided to I found somebody that actually does do repair in Maine, so, and not far from our camp. So I think I might send a few things off to him to get refurbished.
Oh, that'll be nice. I'm thinking of doing that with one of my antique TVs. I'm thinking, the lesser of the antique TVs, I'll continue working on myself as time permits and try to get that one working on my own. But the bigger, nicer one, I'm thinking, maybe I'll just pay someone a bunch of money to fix that one up. And
so
It's only
in the
money.
meantime, looking at things, I found out that you can buy amplifier kits relatively not too pricey for tube amplifiers if you get them in kit form from China. So I decided to get I got one of those for Christmas to put together as a lark. It's about the
nice.
same wattage as this, and I have enough preamplifiers
Who
around that
sells those kind of things?
chickadee Chinese people on eBay.
Oh, this is from eBay. Okay.
hmm Some of them are on Amazon too, but it's basically the same thing. It's a person that's just selling them through either Amazon. They're like a second store through Amazon or eBay.
Yeah.
But I thought I'd give one a try, and it's a kit, so it isn't expensive, but I thought I'd try it, and that way I don't I take practice on something that's newer and I don't feel has any value to it, not much collectible value yet.
right.
But if it comes out nice, then I have a nice power amp that's tube, and I can run it off a solid state preamp, and it would be fine. It's not like you're going to notice much on the solid state preamp end of things.
That sounds like a cool plan.
So,
Oh, here's a kit
Anyway.
for $17.
yeah, they have some really
Cool.
cheap ones. But
Yeah.
if you want more than like 2 watts, then you have to go up to something in the $200 to $300
Sure.
range.
Sure.
And then if you want 30 watts or more, you really have to pay through the nose. So, but I figured I would get one that ran on the same amplifier stage, kind of wiring and style as the amplifier I do have, so I'll understand it slightly better. But I have the feeling it's more the preamp end of it that's buzzing.
Right.
It also makes a good place to rest your coffee mug to keep your coffee warm in the morning.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but the cool thing about the stereo cabinet I found at a Salvation Army a couple of years ago, is it has a compartment hidden in the back that you can put your power amplifier, because it's
nice.
designed for a Heathkit system. It's actually a Heathkit stereo amp. I mean stereo cabinet. So
That's cool.
you put your amp back there, you put your tuner, and it has a spot for your tuner and your preamp and your turntable. And if you look around, you can find matching speakers for it, but I didn't get those. And nor do I care, because they're big. they're really big, and it's like, the speakers in them are not going to be that fabulous, and if you want to run them off tube, it's hard to get an efficient woofer that is of some size. It's just easier with what I have.
Yeah.
But I thought it would be a fun project to put together, solder together my own stereo.
Yeah, that should come out pretty good, and
And then, or it won't. It will come out tragic, and I will throw it across the room and hit it with a hammer and post it all on Facebook at some point. Why you should not tackle these things yourself.
That is, I think I owe you a few funny Facebook links or something, because we usually trade funny links, and I've not been diligent in responding with my fair share of humorous links. But in my defense, Tab Patterson hasn't been posting as much on his Facebook page. Usually I steal his funny posts.
I have several places I dig them out from. You never know where you'll find them.
I just follow the friends that follow the funny things.
Yeah, it's the latest one somebody sent me, which I can't copy because it's on a private thing. But it was one that was a Trump cartoon about how he's just a floater that we thought we flushed him in a few months ago, but he's still hanging around.
Bye, Dune.
That was just like, goodbye, Dune.
Hey, I didn't say anything. I didn't say anything, man.
It's all good.
It wasn't me this time.
Moving right along. All right. Here's Tab Patterson's latest joke repost. I should be able to share the. I have to open it up first and then share it. I can't just import a picture. All right, so if I share screen, application window, there we go. So yeah, Tab Patterson just spent his stimulus check, and there we go. We got a nice cheap phone mounted to a TV mount on the wall.
Nice. So one of the popular thing in home remodeling is to mount the TV above the fireplace.
Right.
The problem with that is I don't like to look up to politicians.
Yeah, I mean, that is a little high of an angle for the TV, not to mention mounting to brick is probably a pain in the ass.
It's actually easier than you think, and usually there's construction.
Just use your hole saw.
Yes.
Yeah, I'll burn that right out.
Make sure you have a hammer setting on your cordless drill.
Yeah, I don't think I do.
Actually,
anyway,
what you might do is get... well, you can get these masonry drills, and they work fine in an electric drill, especially a Craftsman.
Yeah, okay. But usually there's a hammer setting that you'll see on the torque setting, and it actually makes the drill pulsate sometimes, which does help with the using a masonry bit. Because I've installed a few of those, and I don't mind.
Yeah.
I mean, on things. The hardest one that we ever installed was on. It was like a chimney that was like river stone, so it wasn't flat anywhere, and you had to kind of make a level out of where you were and build it up with like bushings and other things, so the TV didn't rack like that. Yeah. But it worked. And then, of course.
So here's another one that made me giggle a little bit. I found from Facebook. Yeah, Mom, leave the sign in the kitchen where it belongs. Me, props the "you only live once, lick the bowl" sign above the toilet bowl.
Yeah, perfect.
No. Just no.
Is this what you meant, Mom?
I don't think that's what she. I don't think that's what she meant by "lick the bowl." Just a hunch here. I don't think that's what anyone had in mind. So, how was everyone's Christmas? Anyone get any cool gifts?
I got the tube amplifier.
Yeah, that's cool.
What about you, Brian? What'd you get?
Nothing. Nothing I care about. I got some shirts,
Some shirts.
some long sleeve shirts. Not one of these. Not this, but other one.
Mhm. Let's see. I got Frank Zappa CDs.
Nice. Which
yeah.
ones did you get?
Broadway the Hard Way and You Are What You Is.
What you is?
And the Mother's 1970 4 CD set that came out recently. Some
Nice.
great vintage
Oh, nice.
Flo and Eddie material.
I didn't realize you didn't have a copy of You Are What You Is.
Well, I have a Ryko copy, but this is the Universal reissue, which is a newer remastering, and I think there are some differences there because I think Frank messed with that one a little bit when he prepared the master for CD. It's one of those things you could find the details online. But I did have a Ryko copy, but I wanted to get a Universal copy for the newer remastering.
Oh yeah,
But yeah, those are.
that one in a while.
Yeah, I gravitate towards 60s and 70s Zappa, and so, but I have to say I did enjoy listening to those two, and I realized after playing those while driving back and forth to Lowe's 3 times in the same day that I really need to get some more 80s Zappa and give that a better listen. Well, the thing is that Zappa really embraced the 80s technology and the 80s sound, and I've always been more of a fan of the 70s sound than the 80s sound. But I see where he's coming from. He was one of those people that always looked forward, and it pissed him off when people looked backwards. And that's why he overdubbed "We're Only in It for the Money" with 80s sounding bass and drums, which is about the worst thing he ever did.
See, it worked in Lumpy Gravy because that was just such a messed up thing. But yet, that was the one that got shelved, remixed, and the other one got released. And it's like, no. And Cruising with Ruben and the Jets with 80s, it was just wrong. Just so wrong.
And to this day, that's the version that's in print, although they did put out that Greasy Love Songs
Which I
set
own.
that
And it's
includes
the only one I have.
right. It includes the whole thing. Because just to review, let's take a look here. Greasy Love Songs, just to give an example of what it's supposed to sound like. I mean, this sounds like a late '60s recording with some sped up vocals, and kind of doing a mock of doo-wop type of album, but doing a good job of doo-wop while mocking doo-wop.
Well, I mean, the magic of making fun of something is to sound like it, right?
Right.
Cheap thrills in the back of my car. Cheap thrills, how fine they are.
And then when he reissued it on CD, he put this out.
I like that bass line that goes along with it.
Yeah, but it's the wrong time
Whatever.
period.
Whatever.
And the drums are just way wrong.
Cheap thrills in the back of my car. Cheap thrills, how fine they are. Cheap thrills.
I mean, it's like you got two completely different universes merging together in some unholy union. That's
That's called Frank Zappa, though.
No, the one that's the most extreme is like the Jelly Roll Gumdrop or whatever.
yeah, that one's pretty bad. Ugh.
And then
It's like
play the
bubblegum
original.
rock. Yeah, bubblegum rock in. Yeah,
Yeah.
'Cause the
Yeah, that
original
was-
is just
but I
so
think
much
he gets
different.
the reaction that he expected, right?
It's but you know, I mean, this sounds more right. You know.
Oh, Jelly Roll Gumdrop, got my eyes on you.
Anyways, we'll probably get popped for that.
Whatever.
But yeah, no, but yeah, and the thing is I kind of get where he's coming from. It's, you know, he likes technology, he wants to do that. The problem is that he replaced it. You know, the original was out of print, and this was what he put back in print. And it's like, well, you know, and people bought it expecting it to sound like the record that they're replacing, and instead it sounds like this unholy 80s abomination.
Whatever.
It pissed people off.
If you don't understand Frank Zappa, then you shouldn't listen to it.
Well, when it came to those two CDs, I bought the versions that didn't have the horrible overdubs, and I listened to those.
Sure.
Anyways, but yeah, I've been enjoying the those two CDs that I got recently, and I still got to make my way through this box. And then my dad got me. He bought me a DVD of The Money Pit.
Classic.
Yeah.
Oak Island, you mean?
No, the movie.
He's been listening to your woes of working on the house.
Yeah,
Decided
no, I've been keeping my
be
dad posted.
twisted.
Oh, the Money Pit movie.
Yes, about
Oh, yeah.
Tom
who's
Hanks and Tom Hanks and Diane Chambers, who is absolutely annoying in everything she's in. What's her name? Shelley Long? Yeah.
She was less
Yeah.
annoying than her replacement on Cheers.
But it was Tom Hanks?
Yeah.
I thought it was Kurt Russell or something in that movie.
No, it was
No.
Tom Hanks.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's a good Tom Hanks, though, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Not like Joe versus the Volcano, which he himself even admits was a bad movie.
Well, it's slightly above Joe versus the Volcano. At least it has good running jokes.
Oh yeah.
You'll-
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Well,
right.
well, I've lifted.
Because
Go ahead.
you know it'll be done in 2 weeks,
Yeah.
and you should start saying that to people when their printer breaks.
Well, I have been actually. That was how I bonded with my coworker at the current job, because when I started there, my coworker is kind of older, cranky, getting ready to retire, set in his ways, and I come in younger, new blood with my own new way of doing things, and you know, I'm always trying to strike that balance of not letting people do things just because they're set in their ways. You know, coming into a new job is a good opportunity to help people find ways to improve things, and not everyone responds kindly to that.
That's the thing. He knows he's got a foot out the door.
Right. The last thing
And
he
he was
wants
looking
is to
for
improve
a
things.
replacement. He's looking for a replacement. You came along. His mistake is that he just didn't let you to do it. Oops,
Yeah.
there goes Seth.
Well, I was replacing someone else, so I'm not replacing him yet.
Well, sure, but I mean, it's in the path.
right.
Like when I was leaving and we got Rob, or as I call Brian Jr.
Right.
I kind of monitored what he was doing. He was doing fine. Go with it, man.
And well, and that was and really, you just want to make sure you handed things off, and you were getting ready to exit. Whereas he's got a few more years to work with me.
Sure.
So it's not, and Gothard likes pickles.
Hey,
Just be careful.
Pickles.
Be careful that your cracker isn't stale.
Yes.
So, anyways, so me and the coworker were
or
sometimes,
there's always pickles without crackers.
because when my coworker would tell me I was doing something wrong, and I had my reason for doing it the way I was doing, I would try to politely explain to him, well, my thinking was this. What's your thinking? And he would say that, and I'd say, okay, I see where you're coming from. I'd like to try it my way, though. And trying it my way wasn't forcing him to do anything differently. It's just that he
Yeah.
felt like I was not listening to him. So there was a little friction, nothing major,
Yeah.
a little, growing pains when I first started the job. So at some point,
Is he still around, or
oh yeah, and we get along great. We spent one night bar hopping, getting shit faced, and we've been great friends ever since. But the thing that really helped us bond better was at one point because he's one of those people that he's been there a while, so he'll kind of bitch about the way things are,
Sure.
like, oh, they've been saying they're going to do that for forever. They'll never get that done. And so I said to him, oh, sure they will. They'll get it done in 2 weeks. And he's like, what do you mean 2 weeks? I'm like, the money pit, 2 weeks. And so now every time he loved that joke. He laughed at that. And so now every time there's some kind of deadline that we don't think is ever going to happen, we always say to the other one, oh, yeah, they'll have that done in 2 weeks.
Well, see, the Curse of Oak Island has that in spades.
Oh, yeah, the Curse of Oak Island, they'll wrap that whole thing up in 2 weeks.
Yeah, right.
I'll wait.
Actually, when they hit 5 years, I kind of go, no, this is going to go 10.
No, 2 weeks. 2 weeks
And,
tops.
They were supposed to be starting the big haul.
I don't care. No,
I'm just saying.
We're not
They're
going
supposed
here.
to start because of COVID.
Oak Island
That
is
won't
dead
start
to me.
until next year. They have an episode coming up, and it might be this week.
La,
where they
la,
get
la,
this
la, la.
big ass gold coin.
Yeah, it's an ass coin. It came right out of their ass. They pulled the
Possibly.
coin right out of their ass and
Possibly.
said, we found the treasure.
So he finds a coin.
Yeah, all the years of people digging through there, some coins have dropped out of some people's pockets along the way.
Yeah, of course.
There's no treasure.
They
I will-
found wood. Is this still on? They found wood.
Wood is not treasure. Wood is
And
wood.
they can date the wood.
Do you know that wood grows on trees, right?
Of course. But this is wood that was grown someplace else.
No, I got wood in my attic and in my
They
walls
got
and
they
in the
got
basement.
coconut fibers.
I went to Lowe's. I bought boards
They
of
got
wood.
coconut fibers. Coconut fibers do not grow in Nova Scotia.
You know what? Coconuts don't grow in my backyard, but if I go down to the grocery store, I can get me a lovely pair of coconuts.
There wasn't.
So Oak Island is in Nova Scotia?
Yeah,
Oh, I have not watched this show.
Don't.
it's on the History Channel.
Oh, I
The-
thought that was... Oh, it's branched out from Hitler to something else?
Let me explain to you,
yeah, it's
Gothard.
no longer just the Hitler channel.
Gothard,
So
since
you got Oak Island, you got ancient aliens. In fact, there
American
is a
Pickers.
spin-off show American Pickers, and I want to get back to that. You got the ancient aliens, and there's going to there'll be a spin-off show that will team up the Oak Island guys and the ancient alien guys. I have no idea what that's about. There's also Beyond, a new one,
Well-
Beyond Oak Island, where they look at other treasures, since they're not having a lot of luck in Oak Island, right?
Gothard,
But Oak Island will continue.
people have been
On the
looking.
American Pickers, you like American Pickers?
No,
Have you watched?
I've watched it a couple times. It gets boring after a while.
Well, and Johnny, do you watch it? American Pickers.
I've seen a few episodes, but like Gothard, it's
Okay,
formula.
so the
It's
main
formula.
character-
I've seen it. I've seen enough
Again,
episodes.
Okay, so the main characters are Mike and Frank, and they
And they
have
hate
the
each
same
other.
Shticks going on. Not really.
They
Not
pretend
really, but
they're
they
friends
do-
on the
they
camera.
They joke on each other, right?
I
And then
love
you got
read
Don
articles that behind the
Danielle,
scenes
who's
they
not.
don't like each other that much.
If you believe those, right? And
well,
who
it's more
cares
believable than
anyway?
Oak Island.
And then you got Danielle, which finds them leads somehow because she knows magic.
I think she'd be fun to go drinking with.
So, and then Mike has a brother that's been showing up on recent episodes called Rob.
Okay.
The interesting thing about Rob, damn, he sounds a lot like Dune. Seriously.
Yes, I've
So
noticed
check that out. You notice that? Yeah, it's like,
Yeah.
and I just didn't recognize it.
But I
until
think
recently.
everyone from Oklahoma sounds like Dune. But that's just me.
That's Iowa. Same
Oh.
thing.
Kansas. But who's counting?
Kansas, Iowa, Oklahoma, what the hell, right? It's Midwestern, right?
All right, let's find a
Which
clip
they
with
think
Rob.
everyone from Maine
I-
speaks
And
like
they
Boston,
think that
so
Denver is
it's all,
west.
It's all fair.
And they think that
Because the
Denver
top
is
on
west.
this one's open.
Oh, we don't care
So,
about mud.
There you go, fellas.
So I get in the second bunker. Here's a Texaco sign. Here's some cans. Here's a Coca-Cola sign. Every room is packed. It's like putting a fat kid in a candy store.
All right, so there's
Texaco
Frank.
gasoline, localized for you. I like
I
that.
think if you look on the back, it's got, yeah, there's your name. It says Frank right on.
It says Frank right on the back.
That's right.
And you know what it says right on the front here?
Yeah.
It says $60.
Ooh, yeah, that's right.
You got it.
Hey, Dan.
Now, where's Rob?
The only time I ever see these signs, they're on
I'm
top
not
of the
seeing
buildings.
Yep.
This was a 17-foot long.
This clip says it has Rob, but I,
I would
don't see
take-
Rob.
$80.
That sounded like
Well,
Rob.
Yeah, like this one
Is
says.
that?
Faded.
Look at the girl on it.
Oh, man.
$10.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you one thing. He's got a nose for good crap.
$50.
Absolutely.
All right.
I mean, that guy's...
All right, they all sound the same to me. Anyways,
Right.
say that's a nice ceiling fan.
I was
It is a nice ceiling
enjoying
fan.
that too.
I recently changed out the ceiling fan.
Yeah, I'm gonna put a ceiling fan in my bedroom at some point. I gotta put in the right type of bracing for it, but that's no problem. I just gotta get
You know,
back
they
in
make
the
a
attic.
special unit that's braced. You know, a special box.
Right. I got to get one of
Yeah.
those and put that in for my room. But I'm taking a break from the attic because the upstairs is functional now, and I've reached a point that over the past weeks of working in the attic has left me announcing every time I stand up and sit down to the whole neighborhood. And I don't try to do this. But I'm not like an old man that announces every time he stands up and sits down, and I'm walking. I tell you, a few weeks crawling around an attic will make you sore. I didn't realize how hard that could be on you. Just spending
yeah.
hours on balance beams.
Oh yeah.
No, I haven't
that's
done
tough.
it in years, and I dread ever having to do it here.
Oof.
You know what's even harder? Using the crawl space. You know, on your elbows and knees.
Oof.
You know what's even harder? The crawl space that you have to dig a little tunnel for, shimmy your body underneath to just lie in a crawl space that's barely
Yeah.
big enough for you to work
Yeah,
on,
yeah.
and then crawl back out of.
You know what's even harder?
And it's on
Finding
a
treasure on Oak Island.
Well, but at least you're getting paid for that, right?
I was getting paid for that.
Oh, you were getting paid for that. See,
Yes,
I
I
did
was.
my own house. I wasn't getting paid for that.
Well,
Yeah.
I'm not getting paid for the work I'm doing on here, but in a sense, I am kind of getting paid because it would
Because you're not
cost
paying
me.
somebody else.
It would cost me $9,000 to get someone else to do it. And yes, this is a pain, but it's not a $9,000 pain.
Right.
Not yet, anyways. But
Have
I
you
got
been keeping receipts together to add up?
no.
To
I
come
just-
up with
I just put-
that would be kind of fun to do.
I just put it on the credit card and pay the bill every month.
Right.
That would be fun to do if I want to see how much money I'm pissing away on this house. But still, it'll come in at under
It's a money
$9,000. It's
Sure.
well, it's not a money pit. My stairs didn't collapse. My kitchen didn't catch on fire when I tried to turn on the light.
He didn't
No,
fall
I-
through the ceiling.
I'm just
and-
joking because every house is on some level a slight money pit.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean that's the joys of home ownership right there.
Right.
Is But I got to tell you, this was a 1 in a million chance. I gotta show you this. This is impressive. I don't know. You know, there are certain lotteries that you buy a lottery ticket and you lose, but something that is about as likely as a lottery ticket, but is bad luck, you'll win every time. And I just gotta. I decided to start working on the bathroom. And so I figured, okay, what do I need in the bathroom? I need a plug outlet in the bathroom. So I went and I bought a ground fault arc protected outlet. That is a 20 amp outlet because you got to put a bathroom circuit on a 20 amp breaker. So I brought 12 gauge wire for that, and I'm working on that. And I find the perfect spot to the right of the medicine cabinet. That is a perfect spot for an outlet. And I get my oscillating tool. I get my outlet box, and I trace a rectangle around it, and I cut carefully a nice perfect rectangle out of the wall. And
You hit a stud.
dead on.
Bingo.
Do you have a stud detector?
I do. It detects all the studs and all the lath. I have studs everywhere, according to my stud detector.
That's true. Yeah. So you take a drill, a very small diameter drill bit, and
Yeah.
you drill holes in of it to see if you'll hit a stud.
I could have done that, but I figured that the medicine cabinet was probably secured to a stud, so to the side of the medicine cabinet was probably wide open wall. And halfway through cutting the hole, I thought to myself, with my luck, there'll probably be a stud back here. I really should have checked for that before I started sawing. Oh well, I already started. Let's keep going. Hope I get lucky. And I got lucky in the bad kind of way. But as you can see, I nailed it. Absolutely nailed it. Spot on center. I couldn't have done that if I tried.
Now, you see what you do here is you get one of those oversized blank plates,
Mm-hmm.
and you let Kristen paint it something cool.
Right.
And then you use some, like, wood screws instead of the regular screws that come on it that are kind of painted white. And then you screw it right over the whole thing and pretend like it's a permanent piece of artwork there.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah.
Well,
Or you put a calendar over it. Or
well,
something else.
that wall actually is drywall, so that'll patch easy.
Oh, I know. I'm just being funny. And
Well,
especially since you got something to anchor it to. There's a whole stud behind it.
although the piece there was still lath over it. They put drywall on top of the lath, so now I got to fill in those pieces where the lath came off because I don't know where they fell to. So I have to fill that gap to put the drywall over, or at least a piece on the bottom.
Well, hey, here's a good way to repair it.
Yeah.
Get some C4.
C4. Well, isn't that a brand of iced tea?
You know what also is fun is now you know where the stud is, where you can see the edge of the stud. You just cut out the same size piece of, like, cut it exactly like what's missing and just stick it in
move
there.
it over. Well, actually, what I'm going to end up
and then
doing,
you'll have extra lath to stick in there too. So
I could do that because what I'm going to do is where the light switch is for the vanity light switch, I'm going to cut that to be a triple wide area, so I could have the two switches and the plug outlet all in that fixture on the on the right side wall next to the door. I figure
you won't hit another stud.
Well, that's already got. There's a single light switch there for the vanity light, and I've already taken that box out and checked how much space there is there. I got plenty of room there to widen that to a wider box that will hold two switches and an outlet. It's just that I had bought a double box to put the two switches together, and I was going to do the outlet by itself. So now I have to go back to Lowe's and buy a box and a faceplate that'll hold three things. So. And then patch that hole.
See, that's why I have the ceiling fan. I was in one of those box stores, Lowe's or Home Depot. I can't remember which, but every now and then, if you look back there, like especially in Home Depot, they'll have like clearance every now and then, or like just we have too much of this and it's the old model, and they happen to have the ceiling fan. So instead of being like $200, it was like $60.
Oh, I'll have to keep an eye out.
And it's a smart one, so you can tell it to turn on and off and adjust the speed with, smart devices or your phone or the remote that comes with it.
Yeah.
Which is kind of nice.
That's
and
nice.
you can reverse
By the way, is there
by
a brand
remote.
that you prefer of these smart switches?
I haven't found one yet that I prefer. The problem with a lot of them is they're deep, and then and because they're deep, it's really hard to put screw. They usually just have their own wires that come off from them that you then have to put on like 3 or 4 nuts. Well, most wall boxes aren't designed to have 3 or 4 wire nuts in them a lot of times, or they are,
Right.
but it ends up being one of those things where you can't stuff everything back into a standard box. You have to get deep wall box every time you want to add one of these things happen.
Right.
Otherwise, you're pinching everything together, and you run the risk of having a wall fire. So,
Right. That's
always fun. So that's
right.
the fun thing about smart switches.
Now, what's your thought on Nest smoke detectors?
I haven't dealt with which kind of, like the company Nest or the ones that are interconnected?
The Google Nest smoke detectors.
I haven't dealt with those. I usually just do whatever my dad puts in, which is usually the ones that you can
the $30
sync
special.
Well, the ones that are a little bit above it, they have ones now that interconnect to each other. So let's say the one goes off downstairs in the kitchen and you have one in your bedroom. They sync to each other, so they'll both go off.
So when you overcook the steak, everyone knows it.
Yes.
Yeah, that's the well, Dune found out one of the major downsides of the Nest smoke detectors is now you're supposed to like replace your smoke detector every 7 to 10 years. And the great thing about a smart device is it can let you know when that time is up and refuse to stop chirping at you until you replace it. And you know, a $30 per smoke detector replacement every 7 to 10 years is not too bad, but $130 times 2 every 7 years, that's not fun. And so Dune was like, 10 in the evening, his smoke detector started chirping, and he had to rip them out and take the batteries out. Because they would not stop chirping because they are expired. 7 years is up. You will
have
not
to replace them all.
Right. Sure.
That sounds horrible.
They'll still function, but we're not going to let you do that because.
Good times.
And so, what did he do? He went out and bought 2 new Google Nest smoke detectors. And when he told me that,
He loved the product.
I only had one thing to say to that.
You're a dumbass. You're a dumbass. You're grade A, number 1, bona fide, first class. You're a dumbass.
Where did you find that one?
That actually, Dude found that song some years ago. I tweeted something political. Dune tweeted something back at me, disagreeing with me. And then a bunch of other people that agreed with my point of view started calling him a dumbass, which it's like, dude, that's not cool. There's no reason to stoop to name calling just because we disagree. So he had a little fun with like, oh, I'm a dumbass now. And so the next Dune and Bob show we did, he had that clip queued up.
You're a dumbass. You're a dumbass.
So I've always had that ever since. I forget who does that song now. I found it on YouTube.
Oh, man.
Let's see. Access running, and my favorite is the Hell to the No 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 song. Oh, that's a good one.
Right.
Oh, there's like 5 different versions of that song too, I think. Oh, we got to find the refrain. Let's see.
No.
Where's the refrain? Oh, I missed it. Here we go. There it is. That's another good one.
So as you sit beneath your light, I keep wondering, have you fixed it so it's not going to shock you?
Yes, I did. At this point, my room and Kristen's room is on a new circuit, and the record room and the master bedroom are also on a new circuit. So I have 2 new circuits powering the upstairs. Eventually, I'm going to put in a 3rd circuit, and I'm going to put my light fixture and my outlet on that circuit and add more outlets to this room. I'm going to add more outlets, another outlet to Kristen's room to put on her circuit. Your dad suggested putting in 4 circuits for the upstairs, one for each room, and I'm like, I don't know about 4. I was gonna do 2, and he recommended 4, and I decided I'll split the difference and put 3 in because me and Kristen both have computers in each of our rooms. We have window AC units, so I could see the benefit of my room and Kristen's room both being on separate circuits. But there's no reason to put in a circuit for the record room that nothing ever gets plugged into that outlet and the light just gets turned on to grab a record off the shelf. So
It's true. That can always be for somebody else down the road.
Right. Well, if someone else wants to put in a 4th circuit in the upstairs, that's there. But yeah, the record room and the master bedroom can share a circuit, no problem.
You can post a note on the wall in that room that says, bang hole right here.
Well, the record room now doesn't have a ceiling anymore. The reciprocating saw to that. Don't cut a hole in a plaster ceiling with a reciprocating saw is the lesson I learned. It's raining plaster. Hallelujah. It's
So which room did you try that in?
the record room.
Oh, so the record room is now got an interesting ceiling pattern.
So how big a hole is that? 2 foot by 2 foot, roughly.
2 by 4, maybe.
2 by 4.
Somebody's putting in a patch.
Yeah. I'm gonna have to. I think 3/8 inch drywall will blend in with the with the plaster. But you got to get like the screws with those like rings that will kind of brace around the edge there, and then once I get that in, I can you get that spray stuff, the popcorn ceiling stuff, to get a pattern on there, and but that's for another day. So yeah, I still don't have a working light in the record room, but that's
okay. Is there
okay.
a insulation in there?
Oh yeah.
Okay, so the ceiling is still insulated.
Yeah, and although I've peeled it back in places, at some point I need to go upstairs and put insulation back down since I'm probably not going to work on the attic again for the next month or so. Yeah,
I would, since it's winter.
Yeah, well, it's been a mild winter though, so at least I got
far,
that working for me. But I got to tell you, it really sucks moving around insulation in an attic.
Yeah.
I have been wearing masks,
especially when there's a shortage of masks.
Well, I got the type of masks that will fog up your glasses, but I don't wear glasses, so I'm fine. It's the what is it? The KN95? Yeah.
Oh, the KN95, the fun ones.
Right, the ones that you won't wear them because they steal up your glasses. Yeah.
The ones that fold in the middle, they're like.
Right, and so they vent up into your. So if I ever am doing something where there's debris and I want to put on the safety goggles, I gotta choose: do I want to save my lungs or my eyes? Because if I do both at the same time, they fog up the safety glasses.
The best ones are the ones that aren't effective for COVID, which have the one-way valve in them. So when you blow out, it blows out all the
N95. But those are hard to find.
You're not going to get the COVID. It's going to be the other guy.
Right.
N95 masks actually don't have that valve. It's a special kind of N95 that has that valve.
Oh, yeah.
There are two types.
I have some. I have a couple. I have some, but I don't use them. I only use them when I'm going to be working in a dust area.
I see.
Yep.
I don't want to breathe in, and I don't really care what goes out because I'm not working with somebody, somebody else.
Right. Right. So the KN95, because I got to say, the first few days I went up in the attic, I didn't think about a mask. I just went in and did my thing. And then, like, the next day, I realized that breathing felt a little different. And I'm like, well, that's not good.
Damn, I'm going to die.
You'll get over it.
I'll get over it. I did get over it. But even with the mask on, sometimes I feel a little bit in the lungs after I've spent a lot of time in that, especially if I roll the stuff around because it kicks stuff up. I probably should be wearing gloves because I'm left itchy afterwards, and it's not like I'm, trying to touch this stuff as much as I can, but you got to move it around.
And the shirt and pants that you wear, the shirt and pants that you use go straight into the laundry.
Yes.
Or the washing machine.
Oh yeah, when I'm done in the attic, I strip my clothes off and I get in the shower. So
Right. There you go. Unfortunately, you can't use the shower on your lungs.
yeah. Well, you can, but it's not recommended.
Right.
I mean, either you could try to breathe in the water, or you could. Oh, I got something new coming up on the show. I have snagged another Woot bag of crap. It has not arrived yet. Yes.
You haven't mentioned bag of crap in a long time. Sometimes I see them listed and I go, that's not a thing anymore.
I always see it listed after they're sold out. But this past
I see.
well, I don't watch the Woot offs as religiously as I used to.
Sure. Because it's not quite the thing anymore.
No, it's not as exciting anymore. But this past Christmas Eve, they tweeted out that they had a bunch of bag of craps.
So you think you'll have it by next week?
I might.
So open it right on the show.
Yes.
Live.
Yeah, we will do that.
A root bag of crack.
A root bag of crack.
Oh crap.
A Woot bag of crap. Now, the last time I got a bag of crap, it was when I was in the apartment, and I got a 3-piece suit that was too small for me to fit into, which I tried to sell on eBay, but no one bought it. So it's still hanging in my closet.
Yeah, the 3-piece
Why don't
suit.
you take it to a homeless shelter?
I could.
Or
find one.
Goodwill type of place.
Yeah, anytime I try to bring clothes to a Goodwill barrel or donation bin, they're always overflowing with bags propped up next to it.
So you go to the store or a thrift store and hand it to the person.
Usually the thrift stores are profit type of thing. I mean, Goodwill
So
is...
what?
Yeah, I don't know.
No. Mostly they operate as nonprofits. It's just that
but they're not
some
really.
people there actually make money. It doesn't matter. There are rules on how much profit they can take or how much actually ends up being a donation.
Yeah. Well,
those
anyways,
things are typically expensive to run. They still got to pay rent, right? And probably the person that runs it is getting paid. I mean,
the person that runs it. Well,
you think Goodwill is doing it for free?
Well, here's the thing about Goodwill.
They're the same thing. Come on.
But Goodwill doesn't pay their employees. Like they pay them less.
Hey, look, I know people that volunteer at these thrift stores. They don't make any money.
Right.
They usually use volunteers.
But the people running the stores are making profit. They're making bang.
You think Goodwill isn't making profit? The individuals that run it? Look up Goodwill Industries on Charity Navigator.
It also depends upon the region of Goodwill, too. They're all run differently by region.
But still,
Slightly.
look one up. When you search for it, you'll see a bunch of them, and you just pick your closest one. And they usually show the executive compensation.
Goodwill Industries International is not a business that takes and donated items and resells them for a profit. It is a not-for-profit organization that provides job training, employment placement services, and other community-based programs for people who have disabilities, lack education, or job experience. Goodwill raises money for the programs through a chain of thrift stores, which also operate as nonprofits.
Are you reading off the Goodwill site?
I'm reading off of Snopes. The CEO of Goodwill Industries International is not Mark Corin, nor does he make $2.3 million a year. The current president and CEO of Goodwill is Jim Gibbons, who in 2015 received a total reported compensation of $712,202.
That's not bad.
That's not bad. But what they pay the people that actually work the floor at those stores is less than minimum wage, and they're able to do so because they run as a nonprofit. And so that type of stuff kind of grinds my gears. I'm just not a fan of it.
But of Goodwill?
No. I mean, I'll shop there for some good deals or whatever, but I'm not a fan of the business model that allows them to pay the people that are essentially working a minimum wage job less than minimum wage.
Suit that you'll never wear and just throw it in the trash.
Well, no.
That's a better idea.
I'll donate it somewhere. I'll throw it in one of those bins.
And that's all we're trying to say here.
Yeah,
Right.
at the
That's all
very
we're trying
least,
to
if there's
say.
a local theater group, donate it to them.
If they take stuff.
Hmm.
Well,
Oh,
originally I
for
was going to
God's
try
sake.
originally I was going to try to lose enough weight to fit into it, but that
What
has
size
not
is it?
happened. I forget. I could go grab it. I think I know where it is. You know what? When we do the Woot bag of crap, I'll pull it out to show what I got in the last one, and that way we can compare if this one's better than
There
or
you go,
worse
'cause
than the last
Then we
one.
can take up the whole 2 hours.
Yeah, there we go.
Exactly.
It'll be a Woot
crappy
suit
2 hours.
riot.
See, and that's a little bit different from a zoot suit.
Yes, just a little bit.
Actually, I was in a Kohl's a couple years ago, and they had this outlandish suit, and I'm going, who would wear that? Oh, maybe what was the guy's name? Becker
Mm-hmm.
at Tharco.
Becker Owen.
Yeah. He would wear something like that.
I never knew him to wear anything outlandish.
Oh,
or-
sometimes he did wear. Okay, so this was outlandish with all these colors and stuff, but he did wear some suits that looked like zoot suits.
huh?
It was pretty funny.
Okay.
He might have been shamed out of it by Gordon.
Gordon had no room to talk about anyone's fashion sense, though.
But that wouldn't stop him.
Whenever anything got mentioned at a company meeting about dress being a little too casual, all eyes in the room started turning and looking at Gordon.
Exactly.
Mr. Jeans and T-shirt.
Yeah.
And I think he one time made a comment like, why is everyone looking at... I feel all eyes on me right now.
Right.
And he didn't care because he was Gordon. What
Sure.
were they going to do?
You know, he knew when to dress up when he needed to.
Well, yeah, he knew what he needed
So
to
if
do.
he didn't need to, he wouldn't bother.
Right. Well, he knew what he needed to do. And most importantly, he knew what he didn't need to do. And if he didn't need to do it, he didn't
Yeah.
do it.
Yep. Hey,
But,
we got an image back.
We,
I paused for a minute because Mike was asking me something, and we're getting another puppy. Yippee! It's like,
Oh, right. Another meaning, how many do you have already?
we have 3 at the moment because one passed
So
away
you
this
get
summer.
4? Oh. So you're going back up to 4.
which one
Yes.
passed away?
The big golden retriever, Murphy.
Murphy.
How old was he?
Aw.
Like,
How old was he?
I think he was 13 or 14.
That's about how long they
Right.
last. Yeah.
Well, that's
Yeah,
why.
I mean, he lived a full life.
I mean, you had the
Yeah.
replacement golden retriever to make the transition. Well,
Yeah.
wait. So you're not up to 5 because there was the 2 dachshunds, the one that Mike wants to abandon in the middle of the lake, and then Murphy and Baxter. But now there's no Murphy. So do you still have 2 dachshunds and the one to leave in the middle? Monk and Tulip and Fern, right?
Yes, well, the other golden we had to give up because it was just too much a year ago because of
Aw.
all of the hospital issues, but that's now behind us. So we housed them to a lesbian couple that like to go hiking. So that's like
Oh,
heaven
Baxter will
for-
love that.
It's like heaven for a golden retriever.
Well, what was great about Baxter, because they named the dog Baxter, and then Baxter was riding with Mike's daughter and a girlfriend, and they're listening to Gordon Lightfoot, and the song "Sundown" comes on, and it's like sundown, da 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 da, coming down the back stairs, and every time they'd sing the line "back stairs," Baxter ears would perk up, like
That's his name.
I'm backstairs.
backstairs, yeah.
No, we're gonna name this one Otis, and it will be a golden lab, not a golden retriever, a golden lab.
Okay. Oh, cool.
Fatter dog, less sheddy
But still high energy.
at first. So I'm gonna have to go
Yeah.
hiking.
And you just
See if
love
I can-
hiking.
Do you ever
Well-
use a dog walker?
What do you mean dog walker? Oh,
A
like
person you hire to walk your dog.
No, don't need. I live in Maine now. I don't have to clean up any shit. So
Well, that's not the reason. I have a sister-in-law that's in her 70s, and
Oh, I see
another
what you mean.
friend that just turned 70. Both of them have used dog walkers,
yeah, I can
even
see
though
that.
I would suggest that they can't afford it.
Mm.
But, you know,
Oh,
you do what you gotta
OX64
do.
clarified the lyrics. Sundown, you better take care, or if I find you creeping around my Baxter.
Oh,
Yeah, that's the line.
Sounds like a Steely Dan song now.
Exactly. Exactly.
Oh,
And what does
yes.
Baxter refer to?
Did I ever send you that link to the unreleased Steely Dan song?
I think so.
Yeah, that was really cool.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Nothing like Steely Dan.
Got the Steely Dan t-shirt.
All I can think of, although the day after the hangover from the Tree Story was the only thing I could palate on the radio was Steely Dan because it was so ridiculously mellow.
Yeah,
Hangover music is what it is.
the whole hungover drive home. We just listened to the whole Citizen Steely Dan box set. Well, Gothard listened to the whole Citizen Steely Dan box set. I slept off the hangover in the passenger seat because, as we've mentioned many times, Gothard drives stick and I don't.
It's just when the zombie apocalypse comes, I'm going to have more pick of cars.
That's right.
Oh, I am an expert at stealing cars because I play a lot of Grand Theft Auto, which I've been getting into the Grand Theft Auto again.
And when I find an antique VW Beetle that's a lot easier to hotwire, I'm going to be able to drive it because they usually came as stick shift.
all you have to do to hotwire a car is walk up to it and push the triangle button, and the rest just takes care of itself.
If that were the case, I would do the secret code and get myself a tank.
A tank from the sky.
A tank from heaven.
Boom.
Who needs mana when you can get a tank from heaven?
Oh man, the days of cheat codes. That was I don't know, Brian, how much you've played
can't
Grand
do that
Theft Auto.
anymore.
Well, now that Grand Theft Auto is an online game and competitive, and it costs money to buy money, cheats is not really a thing anymore in the world of Grand Theft Auto.
And you wonder why retro gaming is a thing.
Well, I mean, on the one hand, it's cool that you can use all the cheat codes in Grand Theft Auto 3 to drop tanks and get all your weapons. But on the other hand, Grand Theft Auto 5 has so much more detailed graphics than Grand Theft Auto 3, and it's kind of funny. Go ahead.
They should allow you to have those cheats and stuff when it's not for, like, when you just want to tool around and not actually do a mission. Like, that's the lockout. When you're doing a mission, you can't do that. Or if you're doing competitive stuff with other people online, that way you can't cheat at it in that sense. But just because you just want to be like, screw it and cause mayhem.
Well, I know Grand Theft Auto 4 was like that, because I remember when I first got Grand Theft Auto 4, I looked up cheat codes, and I went to type one in, and it gave me like a warning, like, hey, warning, if you enable cheats, you disable achievements. Are you sure you want to do this? And I think I decided not to do it and try to play the game through without the cheats. And I got all the way to the last mission, and I never beat it. But then I got Grand Theft Auto 5, and I never even bothered to look up cheats. I just played the game through the story mode, and also Grand Theft Auto 5 in story mode. If you keep failing a mission too many times, it'll let you skip that mission to continue on the story. So there, but yeah, it's the thing is, once you beat Grand Theft Auto 5 story mode, you're left with a shit ton of money in your account. So, going to buy ammo is not a big deal. I don't know. I don't have the need to cheat as much in Grand Theft Auto 5. But nowadays, people that are cheating in Grand Theft Auto 5 are doing cheats to generate money to be able to buy things in the environment, and that's the type of stuff you can get banned for. OX64 right again. I became a millionaire within 10 minutes in GTA. I wished real life was like hacked GTA, when a person walks up to you and drops $1 billion on you. Well, I was playing Grand Theft Auto 5 online, and I figured out the best way to get a jet is to call Lester and have him get the police to ignore any crimes you commit for the next 5 minutes, and then during that 5 minutes you break into the army base and jump into a jet, which is real easy to steal. It's just like hot wiring a car. You walk up to it, you press the triangle button.
Yep.
You take off in your jet. You don't even need to get to the runway.
I press the triangle button in my car? A bunch of lights start flashing.
I saw that one coming. It's like, oh my god, that's perfect. But so I pay Lester the $5,000 to get the police to ignore me for a few minutes, so I could sneak into the army base and steal the jet engine. And just as I'm running up to the jet engine, suddenly I disappear and I reappear in the middle of the wind farm, and there's a bunch of money bags raining on me because someone hacked the server I was on and made it cheat to make it rain money on all of them. And it's like, Jim, I spent $5,000. I was just about to, you motherfucker. So, anyways, I actually found
at least you had a bunch of money to try it again.
Yeah. Although I got out of there real fast because I didn't want Rockstar to think that I had anything to do with ill-gotten gains, and I didn't want to get banned, so I didn't stick around to claim $5,000. Let's see, no flight experience necessary to fly the jet either. Just push a few keys. You don't even need to get to the runway. You just, hit the R2 and push down, and you take right off from the hangar.
Easy peasy.
Easy peasy. Hey, Brian, we need to get you to play some Grand Theft Auto. Now, have you bought any of the Grand Theft Auto games?
I think I have San Andreas.
Oh, there we go. You know what? You need to pull out the Elgato device and record yourself playing some of that and get some highlight clips for next week.
Okay.
And bonus points if you can turn on the microphone and get your wife's reaction. No? I don't know. She doesn't strike me as a type that would appreciate the video games that involve shooting the cops.
I don't think she cares.
No, exactly. She take a look and go, oh, roll her eyes and walk out. I don't even know her. Why am I putting all this?
Exactly.
Let's see.
Well, you know one thing about her. She's Asian, right?
I don't know if Gothard knows about that joke. A while ago,
Is it a my Fong joke?
No. It's a while ago. Dune, for a gift idea, bought this stuffed dachshund dog to send around to different friends around the country and around the world to pose it with pictures at different landmarks and things like that, and then have like a scrapbook of its adventure and journey. And he wanted to try to get some international pictures in there as well. So, he sent it to me. We took it to the Golden Gate Bridge and Fisherman's Wharf. We sent it to Videovamp. He flew it over a body of water on a drone because, of course, Videovamp did. It had nothing to do with anything. It was just something stupid to do. At some point, Dune said, well, what about Brian? He's in Singapore, right? Can we get to... So he sent it to Brian in Singapore, and Brian found some local natives to hold the dachshund and pose for a picture. And so at some point, Dune was under the impression that this Asian lady that was holding the dachshund was Brian's wife. And so that was... And so at some point, Mars had picked up on Dune saying this and thought that Brian's wife was actually Asian. And so Mars at some point told Neo, yeah, Brian's wife is Asian. At some point, and so at some point we're doing the show here and Neo's here doing the show with us. And Neo says, well, your wife's Asian, right? And It completely caught Brian by surprise. And I had to explain, oh no, that's from the scrapbook. And so Brian went back and told his wife that we all thought she was Asian because and apparently that was the one thing that we did on the show that made Brian's wife laugh.
Exactly.
So that's been our running joke that Brian has an Asian wife.
Right.
Alex, we're running in WTF. All this time I thought Brian's wife was Asian. Yes, that's that's a joke. So many people thought that was not a joke.
Okay, might as well keep it running, right? What the hell?
So what I've been enjoying is the fact of Brian's background. And every now and then, you're sitting in front of a rear view mirror of a car, which is very impressive.
Yes. Yes.
That's the impressive part. The lights,
The
not
fact
so
that
much.
you see that is great.
And
Because it's only once in a while that it kind of shows up in the image.
yes, and it's right after it. There is the Doctor Who TARDIS as a Christmas decoration.
Yeah.
Perplexes me too.
That's right. That's right. Did you see the Star Wars stuff?
Yes, I did.
There's some Imperial walkers. They're cool. And then you got a line of people that include Yoda. And I think there's a baby Yoda in there. It's great.
I've been entranced
Actually,
by
in the
some of it.
sequence, we go by that twice. The second time is actually better because I focus the camera on that group of people and on the Imperial walkers. It's cool.
Oh, so this is your neighborhood.
Well, no, it's close by. This is one neighbor that does it all up all together. And they put out these barrels so they collect food for a local food bank. Yeah, I mean,
that's
it's
cool.
cool. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm set. Speaking of thrift stores, the thrift store I love around here is one for the local food bank. And somehow,
Yeah.
oh wow, we're buying stuff from.
Well, no, this was in my neighborhood, closer to the apartment I used to live into. There was a house that put out a lot of inflatable decorations throughout Christmas time,
Yeah.
and this is one of them. And
I love it.
who buys this? Well, the guy that
I think I've seen
lives
this shitty thing.
I like it. I like the idea.
Santa in an outhouse just because. I mean,
You know, it's actually funny. We were watching some show that was taped, 5 or 6 years ago, and they show these inflatables in the yard. It goes, "Oh, that's so tacky," and I'm going, "Are you kidding? That's all over the place now."
yeah.
Yeah.
My next door neighbor just got some inflatables, and then there's a house like 3 or 4 down that the yard is just jammed with it. The thing that I find is during the day they let them deflate, right?
Right.
They only turn them on at night and they get filled up again. So during the day, if you drive by, it's like, oh, look at all those dead bodies.
Yeah, well, we have the Santa Claus looking out the garage window because the garage we have has an upstairs and there's a window at the end. So I put one of the
Oh.
shop lights that are in it. I hung it in such
Yeah.
a way that it kind of lights it, and it's kind of like when you go. If you ever see an Italian house or like those places where they have the Virgin Mary kind of like in its own little display case
Right.
sort of thing. Well, I did that with Santa Claus in our attic.
Nice.
Nice.
And then there's
Actually,
a wreath hang.
there's a couple of houses in this area. Of course, we don't have the audio, but you look through the main window in the front of the house, like probably the living room and stuff,
Yeah.
and there's like a projected scene that's going on, and they have speakers outside so you can hear what's going on.
Oh, that's
Santa
interesting.
Claus talking to the. And I mean, it's rather sophisticated. It's kind of cool.
So I did this right before Thanksgiving because we had this, one of those talking, 6 foot or, life size Santa Clauses we acquired from a dentist office that couldn't have it because they weren't, it was, one of those things where it was just, they just didn't want to have that level of Christmas or something.
Mm.
So so the person that brought it in was like, I don't have room for this. Do you guys want it? It'll cheer you up. So it ended up moving with us, and I was like, what the hell do I do with this thing? Because it's so huge. And so I ended up doing that with it. And then as I've been driving around this year, I've been noticing like down the street from us, somebody else did it. And then on another street not that far from us, somebody else did it. Like they keep copying me. Like, oh no.
You started a trend.
I've started some horrible trend. Like the Virgin Mary in a bathtub, you know?
There you go. Why not? OX64
Are
writing
you
in
familiar with the Virgin Mary bathtub display?
Bathtub display.
Oh, yes, where you take an old like clawfoot bathtub, you stick it like front end in so that you got the round arch of the back of the tub. You paint the inside like sky blue, and you put your Virgin Mary statue in it.
Well, I mean, I'm familiar with Mary being in a grotto type thing that's like that, but I wasn't familiar with people actually doing it with
the white trash version of it.
Oh, okay. See, in my house, we bought a nice grotto for our Mary statue.
Yeah, you actually had a tasteful one. I'm talking about the poor white trash version of it.
Mary in a tub.
Yes.
Yeah.
Some of them are spectacular, especially when they can't find the clawfoot tub that's rounded, and they just use one of those corner units that's square up at the top.
Bathtub Madonna is a thing.
Bathtub Madonna.
There's a
claw feet at your feet.
Exactly.
It's worth looking up. It's very
it's on Wikipedia, so it's a real thing for sure.
Mm-hmm.
There are plenty of pictures online, but go ahead.
Mike felt so inspired this year. He bought this thing that was like a truck-looking thing. It looks like a truck, but it's made out of whatever cloth and has lights all over it, and the wheels look like they're turning because the lights flash in such a way to make them look like they're turning. And the bed has a Christmas tree, like you're taking it home, but it's lit in it. And so we put it out, and it's been so windy. Like, within 2 days, it got blown over and wrecked. And then I had to zip tie it all back together. And fortunately, it was still soft because it's been unseasonably warm and muddy. So the ground was soft enough that I took some stakes that we used for the peas and, shoved it through it and thought I had got it again. And then there was another huge windstorm that managed to launch it even off from that. So I was like, it's fucked.
Going back to the Santa and the shitter, OX64 writing in, it's missing one thing: a chat cloud bubble above Santa saying "Merry Christmas, shitters fall."
Right.
And OX64 also points out his theory that your Asian wife is driving you around while you do the show.
Exactly.
I'd love to, if I had one of those old Winnebagos, in my yard somewhere, I would find a mannequin and get a hose and dress it up like Uncle Eddie.
Yeah. Why not?
In fact, last year at this time, there was a local brewery that made a beer that they called Uncle Eddie. It was a really good chocolate stout kind of thing. And so I ordered it, and I said to the waitress, I'll take an Uncle Eddie, Clark. And she looked at me like, what are you talking about? I was like, oh no. People haven't watched that movie. It's on every year.
Yeah, I know.
If you're going to sell Uncle Eddie, you should know.
You should know.
Here it is.
Yeah, so Ryan has shared the link with us. And so there's that is definitely a bathtub. That's just a tub. And here's half a tub.
Some of them get fancy though. Like that one's out of a corner, but they made it work somehow.
Yeah, the blue tub with the chips in it makes it look kind of like a sky with clouds type of thing.
Right, vintage look too.
Yeah. Lady Diana's heartbreaking
funny.
for a kid. No, this is not. This is a different article now. So there we go.
And I've taught you something new about Catholicism.
That's right.
The trashy end of Catholicism.
You taught me about redneck Catholicism. Alexis, you were reading in Madonna not looking too shabby.
Well, it's interesting because the former owners of this house were very Catholic. So much so I didn't know, but there is a Catholic organization for mechanics.
Well, I could have guessed that there was a patron saint, but I didn't know
Yeah,
about
but I was like, there is that specific a club for Catholic mechanics? I was like, wow.
Yeah. Well, I know there's a patron saint for everything.
Yep. So I found a nice needlepoint of the Virgin Mary, which I hang in the wall on the wall here, just to make, if there is, and the old man did die that used to live here. He didn't die here, but just in case, make him happy.
Right.
And just to
That was
show,
pretty.
Catholicism has some dark humor into it as well, because let's see, Saint Lawrence is let's see, I think it's. Is it
The
Saint
patron
Lawrence?
saint of the Edmund Fitzgerald?
Well, there's a patron saint of chefs, which is the saint that was martyred by being grilled to death. So that's why they made him the patron saint of chefs, because
They would have just made him a barbecue chef, these days. But the barbecue hadn't become its own genre yet.
no, it hadn't. Let's see. Saint Lawrence, one of the most venerated Roman martyrs, celebrated for his Christian valor. He is the patron saint of the poor and of cooks. And let's see. It is said that Lawrence gave the church's treasures to the poor and the sick before his arrest. Lawrence was probably beheaded. Saint Ambrose of Milan and the Latin poet Prudentius, among others, recorded that he was roasted to death on a gridiron, remarking to his torturers at one point, "I am cooked on that side. Turn me over and eat." I have a feeling that's not how it really happened, and like they say, it was probably just beheaded. But due to the legend of him being grilled, they made him the patron saint of cooks, because
when you're going to the interrogation room, they often say you're being grilled.
in this case, it was something got messed up in the translation there,
Yes,
and somehow it
right.
got written down that he was literally grilled. 5-2 running in is Johnny reading a treasure map. No.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought I thought I found a treasure map in the attic. It turned out it was just an old scroll of torn wallpaper. So with glitter that fell off of it
we were trying to
everywhere.
speculate what the stain was from. What made the stain?
While I was unrolling it to take a look at it, a bead of sweat fell off of my forehead and left a stain.
And it left an X-shaped mark.
No, it left
X marks the spot.
It left 2 blotches, which is very reasonable for a splash of sweat to leave. And Dune speculates that because a picture he found of Treasure Island shows another small island off the coast of the main island, that means it's a treasure map.
Right.
Okay.
And I told him he can go ahead and go use that map to go find the treasure, and I'll wait for him to come back with that.
Right.
I'm still waiting.
Yeah.
I still have a roll of some geometric mid-century modern style wallpaper in kind of a fire engine orange, red, and white.
Oof.
It's horrifying. I keep it
Do you have orange carpet to go with it?
No, it actually came out of a house that my parents used to caretake for, and it was in a house that was built in the 40s. So imagine a 1940s style bathroom with like the seafoam green walls and everything on the wainscoting, but on the upper end of it, they put this other like wallpaper that was really intense. And I figured the orange and the green was designed to help you throw up when you're in the bathroom.
Yeah.
It was because it was nauseating. It literally was a nauseating kind of thing between them. It was just weird.
So this is the scroll of stuff I found in the attic. I mean, when you see a paper scroll all scrolled up, buried in the insulation in the attic, you kind of figure it's a note or something that, for some reason, someone stored in the attic. But it was just
that's 80s wallpaper.
That's 80s wallpaper, is it?
Even better, in the attic of the beach house, I have some paintings from a lady that lived there a long time. One of these days, I'm going to pull them out to show a neighbor that knew this lady and kind of go, "Do you recognize this?" Or did she just kind of hide them away in the attic?
But yeah, as you can see, that wallpaper has glitter on it, and I know that because it fell everywhere. Right, my table was covered with glitter after I was done taking this picture.
You know, in the early 70s, I don't know if spraying glitter on the ceiling was a thing.
Well, if you like to get glitter all over the floor, I guess that's a thing.
Well, I mean, there would be sprayed with glue or something.
Yeah, I could see that. I don't know. That could be 70s wallpaper. I don't know. But I would assume because of the fact that it was in your attic and the fact that the house had a fire in the late 70s, that would probably be an 80s wallpaper that just...
Yeah, I'm still not clear on the whole history of the house.
Yeah.
But one thing Dune points out is that the paint in the basement indicates that that's the type of paint that you would paint over after a fire as well, which suggests that maybe there was a fire that went all the way from the basement to the attic. But I'm not so sure about that either, because
they could just store it in the basement. It doesn't mean that it was in the basement that they painted it.
Well, the basement's painted.
Oh, okay.
And
that's right.
But also some of the Romex wire in the basement is covered in paint. So I don't know if that means that the fire was more recent. But then again, if there was a fire that consumed the basement to the attic, why would the knob and tube wiring still be intact throughout the attic? So
that's true.
I don't get how there could have been a fire that charred the wood in the attic and the original wiring of the house survived. But
well, it is wire.
Yeah, with fabric coating that,
what got burnt off.
Yeah, well, but the fabric coating would seem to be intact. So I don't get it. I don't.
Could be asbestos.
Maybe the fire was very localized.
It's weird. I've not made sense of what
you don't have.
Do
you have
means.
any evidence of fire anywhere else?
No, really, the only evidence I have is in the attic. I'm not even sure. The basement may have just been painted just for the heck of it and had nothing to do with the fire, for all I know.
Yeah.
So it may just be that it could be that the knob and tube wiring in the attic started a fire and it got put out. And I know the people that flipped the house redid the roof. And then
maybe the paint in the basement is because at one point there was mold.
That could be too.
Who knows?
Now Five at Dune writing in asbestos. Now, like I said, I tried to.
That's what popcorn ceiling is for.
Well, I figured the one thing I did find out about the history of this house is that there's only ever been 2 permits pulled for this house in the whole history of it. And one was a permit for a business that was run out of the house in the early 2000s, which has nothing to do with any construction or anything. And the only construction permit that was ever pulled for this house was an asbestos roof that was put on in the late 70s. But that roof's not on there anymore because they completely redid the roof before they flipped it. So
I can't believe they still sold asbestos in the 70s, but
yeah, well, that's what the
asbestos in paint and popcorn ceiling and stuff like that went into about the mid 70s. So all of our houses were built in the later 70s, and a couple places we had tested which didn't have asbestos. So we were just over the line. Kind of got lucky that way.
Yeah, well, there's no popcorn ceiling in this place.
Yeah,
but it was built in around 1970, and it has acoustic tiles, so I'm kind of worried about those.
Well, I mean,
You'll just keep a good layer of paint on them, and you'll be fine.
there's a great game that they play in Massachusetts where, as long as you don't know of any lead paint in the house, you can declare that you are not aware of any lead paint in the house. And,
Exactly.
But
Testing it could cause a problem.
right. So
Right.
that's the game you play. Just never test the paint in the house, and then keep which is fine as
Or
long as
get one of those home test kits, and if you go, oh, then you go, I never saw that, and get rid of it.
All right. Well, you could do that.
But then again, you're finding something else
That raises morality.
that you really don't
issues.
want to know. Well, no, you want to learn something about them, something that you really don't want to know.
I don't want to know about lead paint unless I'm prepared to deal with it properly.
No,
And-
if you find it, then you paint over it, and then just be like, I never knew it was there.
Well, if I
Right.
have any lead paint, it's painted over already because the whole house is painted this neutral color, and that's recent. So the thing is that if I had to place a bet, I would guess that at least some of the rooms in this house has lead paint underneath the layers of newer paint.
Oh, yeah.
But as long as I don't test and I don't know about it, I can certify that I don't know of any lead paint in this house. That's the
Right.
game they play. Isn't that a nice game, huh? It's the don't ask, don't tell policy of paint. It's a case where you cover your mouth and say under your breath, as far as you know. No, it's where you say, not that I know of.
Yeah, you want to be more emphatic. Yes.
There's no lead paint in this house, is there? Not that I know of.
There was this mall that I would go to in Colorado.
Mm-hmm.
I never worked at the Radio Shack store there. Anyway, there would be reports of dust all over everything.
Okay.
And then they tested it and found out, oh, this is asbestos.
Ooh, that's not good.
So the whole mall was closed for, refurbishment or whatever you call it, abatement.
Well,
And then it reopened. And then after we left the Denver area, that mall was closed forever. It's on the dead mall list.
well, there's a town in New Jersey right next to Hillsborough called Manville, which is where there was a big John's Manville factory where they made asbestos.
Yeah.
And there's stories that old timers have about when they were younger, they would have to sweep the asbestos off the driveway, like they were clearing the driveway of snow. If someone asks, like, well, didn't anyone ever complain about that? It's like, well, no, because we all worked at the factory.
That's right.
That was where we all had our jobs. So no,
That's
we just swept the asbestos off the driveway and carried on with our day. Dune writing in, no, Dune was never allowed any celebratory gunfire in the house. # no lead.
That's right.
No lead. No, that's right. That's right. Because as we clarified on the Dune and Johnny show, and when we got a bag of dicks back in the room.
Sorry, I'm flip-flopping between devices because I've been charging their battery as one gets dead. So.
Oh yeah. Well, I put in another outlet and I put one of those faceplates on that have USB ports right in the bottom of the outlet, so I could conveniently.
Those are nice.
Yeah, those are nice.
I just get cheap and just buy the ones that you screw over the whole plate.
Yeah.
It is the plate, and then you have like 4 USBs and like 6 outlets, and
Oh yeah, those are good too. And then I got one of those.
they have.
Go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry. The lag just gets me every time. Plus they have a surge suppressor, so when the surge suppressor goes bad, you just take it off, throw it away, and put a new one on. Because,
And then I got a one of those faceplates that has a little light on it, and put that on the outlet at the top of the stairs. So little night light for the stairs.
Oh, so you don't fall down the stairs at night. That's
Right.
good.
Which you know how I always commented. I found that outlet to be an odd place for an outlet because right at the top of the stairs, what can you plug in there? The window at the top of the stairs isn't big enough for a window air conditioning unit that would actually cool the entire upstairs. And I was talking to Emily, and she said obviously it was put in there for a nightlight for the kids in the middle of the night. And it's like, there you go. You just need to get someone with the right mindset to oh, I know what that is. And I'm like, oh, that makes sense. Because that's not running off a knob and tube. That's running off a Romex run that's coming up from the basement. So that was added later. But anyways.
Back when you had those plug-in smoke detectors that you had to run, on a cord to.
Yeah.
I'm making that up, but still, it would be funny. Anyways,
on that note, I think we've passed the 10 o'clock hour, and we've reached we never even opened the show up. So you are now tuned in to another fun-filled edition of
Insert Title Here.
And we are now wrapping up another fun-filled edition of
Insert Title Here.
And but we do try to be educational here, and I think we've all learned a whole lot these past 2 hours here. And so, Brian, what have you learned this evening?
There is such a thing as bathtub Madonnas.
And Gothard, what have you learned?
You could buy asbestos as fake snow for Christmas.
Yay!
and I've learned
that.
And I've learned that either Brian learned how to drive his car while seated backwards, or he just had his Asian wife drive him around for the whole show.
Though that's true. That's what really happened.
That is
because I was holding the camera out the window.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So
next time I'll be sitting in the back seat so I don't get that mirror.
But that adds to the
during
charm.
this video is like, okay, well, I'm going to be on video essentially the whole time, so there's no talking. But when I put all this together, this thing runs about 20 minutes long.
Mm-hmm.
When I put it all together, I realized, actually, I don't want sound at all anyway. So we could have talked the whole time.
Well, let's go find someone to. How many viewers do we have right now? Oh, you know what? Hang tight. We are going to find someone to raid.
Absolutely.
So let's see who is.
The last time we raided, it raided with 2 people.
Yeah, and so we're gonna find who's live right now, and we're gonna go ahead and find a nice raid. Let's see.
Poppy Tunes.
Poppy Tunes.
Existence 130.
I don't think Existence is live.
Oh, that's offline.
Right now. Yeah, I mean
Lord Grimm. Oh, I think we did him last time, right?
You know what? I see someone I'm following in my channel right now. Yeah. Oops, that's the wrong thing. Let me mute that. I think Julie Go Live is live right now. And this is another one I followed from Twitch Finds with Dune. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to raid her.
All right. Good job, Carrick. You got me.
So thank you, everyone, and stay tuned.
Like they're chatting away.
Yeah.
I love this song.
All right, we're going to go raid. Just hang tight, and we're getting ready to...
I need to fix up my stuff, hey.
Okay.
Who the heck followed during that stock stream? Thank you so much for the follow.
It's not letting me raid. It says Johnny Gators used raid Julie Go Live, but I don't see an actual button to raid now.
Oh.
Yeah.
I've been waiting for months, waiting for years.
You already have a raid in progress. Well, then raid.
But there ain't much that's dumber. Ain't much that's dumber than pinning your hopes on a change in another.
All right, I think we're still waiting for the raid to happen.
But what good's that gonna do
All right. Well, maybe it's waiting for me to stop streaming before it does the raid. Maybe they updated something. All right. So good night, everyone, and stay tuned.
Good night.